The heart of the matter: what is income tax? In the United States, income tax is a crucial part of the financial system. It's the money that individuals and corporations pay on their earnings each year. These earnings can come from various sources like wages, salaries, profits from businesses, and investments. The government uses this money to fund a wide range of public services and programs. Think of things like roads, schools, and even national defense. The amount of income tax someone pays isn't a fixed number. It's determined by a complex set of rules and regulations, often referred to as the tax code. The tax code takes into account many factors, including a person's income level, dependents, and various deductions and credits. Income tax is collected at both the federal and state levels. While the federal government has a unified tax system, each state has the autonomy to set its own income tax rates and regulations. This means that the amount of income tax you pay can vary significantly depending on where you live in the United States. Understanding income tax is essential for every American citizen and resident. The significance of income tax. Income tax is more than just a financial obligation. It's the lifeblood of the nation. It's the primary source of funding for a vast array of government programs and services that are essential for the well-being of all Americans. Imagine a country without well-maintained roads and highways. A country where access to quality education is a privilege, not a right. A country where healthcare is only for the affluent, and national security is constantly under threat. The money we contribute through income tax doesn't simply vanish into government coffers. It's strategically allocated to support a multitude of crucial areas that are vital for our collective prosperity and security. These include, but are not limited to, education, healthcare, infrastructure, national defense, social security, and various other social programs. When the government invests in infrastructure, it creates jobs and stimulates economic growth. When more citizens have access to quality education and healthcare, it leads to a healthier and more productive workforce. Income tax revenue also enables the government to provide social security benefits to retirees, ensuring their financial well-being after years of hard work. In essence, income tax is the foundation upon which a just and equitable society is built. Understanding the profound significance of income tax is not just about fulfilling our civic duty. It's about comprehending the intricate web of interconnectedness that binds us together as a nation. The Great Debate, a preview of the pros and cons. The concept of income tax in the United States has always been a subject of intense debate and scrutiny. Proponents of the income tax system argue that it's a fair and progressive way to fund the government. They emphasize the importance of a system where those who earn more contribute a larger share of their income. Critics of the income tax system contend that it places an undue burden on individuals and families, particularly those in the middle class. They argue that high income taxes can discourage work, savings, and investment, ultimately hindering economic growth. Some even advocate for alternative forms of taxation, such as a consumption tax or a flat tax. The debate surrounding income tax is complex and multifaceted, with valid arguments on both sides. The genesis of income tax from the Civil War to the early 20th century. The history of income tax in the United States is a long and winding road, marked by periods of intense debate, significant reforms, and evolving societal needs. Contrary to popular belief, the concept of income tax wasn't always a cornerstone of the American financial system. In fact, its inception can be traced back to a time of national crisis, the Civil War. In 1861, as the nation grappled with the enormous financial burden of war, President Abraham Lincoln signed into law the nation's first income tax. This initial tax was a flat rate of 3% on all incomes above $800, a significant sum at the time. This wartime measure, however, was short-lived. After the Civil War ended, the income tax was repealed in 1872, largely due to its unpopularity and the perception that it was an infringement on individual liberty. For the next few decades, the federal government relied primarily on tariffs and excise taxes to fund its operations. However, the late 19th century witnessed a growing movement advocating for the reinstatement of the income tax. This growing discontent culminated in the passage of the 16th Amendment to the Constitution in 1913. Section 2, the Roaring Twenties and the Great Depression income tax in times of boom and bust. The early decades of the 20th century were a period of significant economic fluctuation in the United States, and the income tax system evolved in response to these changing times. During the economic boom of the Roaring Twenties, income tax rates were relatively low. The top marginal tax rate peaked at 70% during World War I, but was gradually reduced throughout the 1920s, reaching a low of 25% by 1929. This period of prosperity led to a surge in government revenue, even with lower tax rates. The federal government used this newfound wealth to invest in infrastructure projects, such as highways and dams, and to expand social programs. However, the stock market crash of 1929 and the ensuing Great Depression brought an abrupt end to the economic euphoria of the Roaring Twenties. With millions of Americans unemployed and businesses failing, income tax revenue plummeted. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, as part of his New Deal programs, signed into law several tax increases, including raising the top marginal tax rate to 79% in 1936. The Great Depression highlighted the crucial role of income tax in providing a safety net during times of economic hardship. Section 3. World War II and its aftermath. The expansion of the income tax system. World War II had a profound and lasting impact on the income tax system in the United States. The massive mobilization of resources required to fight the war necessitated a dramatic increase in government revenue. To finance the war effort, the federal government expanded the income tax base significantly. Prior to World War II, only a small percentage of Americans paid federal income tax. However, the Revenue Act of 1942 expanded the income tax net to include millions of new taxpayers. This act lowered the income threshold for filing, effectively requiring a much larger portion of the population to pay federal income taxes for the first time. This wartime expansion of the income tax system had a lasting impact, transforming it from a system that primarily taxed the wealthy to one that drew revenue from a much broader segment of the population. Section 4. The modern-era tax reforms, debates, and the ongoing evolution of income tax. The latter half of the 20th century and the early 21st century have been marked by ongoing debates and reforms to the income tax system in the United States. These reforms have often reflected shifting political ideologies and economic priorities. The 1980s, under the Reagan administration, saw a significant reduction in income tax rates with the passage of the Economic Recovery Tax Act of 1981. This act, championed by supply-side economics, aimed to stimulate economic growth by reducing the tax burden on individuals and businesses. The top marginal tax rate was lowered from 70% to 50% and then further reduced to 28% in 1986. The 1990s witnessed a period of relative stability in the income tax system, with the Clinton administration focusing on deficit reduction and making modest adjustments to the tax code. The debate over income tax continues to this day, with proponents of lower taxes arguing that they promote economic growth and individual liberty, while advocates for a more progressive tax system contend that it's essential for funding vital public services and reducing income inequality. The most compelling argument in favor of income tax lies in its ability to fund essential public services that are the bedrock of a functioning and prosperous society. Imagine a world without public schools, where access to quality education is a privilege reserved for the wealthy. Picture a country without well-maintained roads and highways, where transportation is a logistical nightmare, hindering commerce and isolating communities. Envision a society without public parks and libraries, places where citizens can gather, learn, and connect with their community. These are just a few examples of the essential public services that are funded, in large part, by income tax revenue. These services are not merely amenities. They are the pillars upon which a just and equitable society is built. Public education, for instance, is not just about imparting knowledge. It's about empowering individuals, fostering critical thinking, and creating a level playing field where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Beyond funding essential public services, income tax plays a pivotal role in driving economic growth and development through strategic investments in infrastructure. A robust and modern infrastructure is the backbone of a thriving economy. Well-maintained roads and bridges facilitate the efficient transportation of goods and services, reducing transportation costs for businesses and consumers alike. Modern airports and seaports connect a nation to the global marketplace, enabling businesses to expand their reach and compete on an international scale. Reliable energy grids and high-speed internet access are no longer luxuries but necessities in today's digital economy. These infrastructure projects, while often costly, are essential investments in a nation's future economic competitiveness. Income tax revenue provides the financial foundation for these long-term investments that generate jobs, attract businesses, and enhance the overall productivity of the economy. Income tax funds social programs, providing a safety net for the vulnerable. Social Security supports retirees, Medicare and Medicaid offer health care, and SNAP ensures food security. These programs invest in human capital, fostering a just and equitable society. Section 4. Beyond Our Borders, National Defense and Global Security. While often debated, the role of income tax in funding national defense and global security remains a critical aspect of its purpose. In an increasingly complex and interconnected world, a nation's ability to defend itself and its interests abroad is paramount. This requires a robust and well-funded military, capable of deterring aggression and responding effectively to threats both at home and abroad. Income tax revenue provides the financial resources necessary to maintain a strong national defense, ensuring that the nation has the means to protect its citizens, its allies, and its interests around the globe. This funding supports a wide range of defense-related activities, from the development and procurement of advanced military equipment to the training and deployment of troops. Furthermore, income tax revenue supports diplomatic efforts and international aid programs that promote peace and stability around the world. Diplomacy and foreign aid are essential tools of national security, as they can help to prevent conflicts, address the root causes of instability, and build strong relationships with other nations. By funding these efforts, income tax contributes to a safer and more secure world, not just for Americans but for people around the globe. While the allocation of funds for national defense and global security is often a subject of debate, the fundamental role of income tax in providing for the common defense remains a critical aspect of its purpose. The weight of income tax on individuals and families. Income tax funds essential services, but places a financial burden on individuals and families, especially the middle class. It represents a significant portion of earnings, affecting savings, investments, and quality of life. The complex tax code adds to the burden, requiring costly professional help. Middle-income families feel squeezed, working hard but not seeing the fruits of their labor. Section 2. A slippery slope potential for misuse and waste of taxpayer dollars. Government inefficiency and waste are major concerns. Extravagant spending and lack of transparency erode public trust. Special interests and corruption further distort priorities. Greater accountability and fiscal responsibility are essential. High income tax rates can stifle economic growth, discourage investment, and lead to job losses. Lower taxes may encourage reinvestment and innovation, making businesses more competitive globally. Historical examples like the Reagan tax cuts show potential for economic expansion through reduced tax burdens. However, the relationship between tax rates and growth is complex, influenced by many factors. Section 4. Seeking alternatives. Exploring other avenues for government revenue. The debate over income tax leads to alternatives. If not income tax, then what? Alternatives include consumption taxes, flat taxes, property taxes, estate taxes, and carbon taxes. Each has its own advantages and drawbacks. The search for a fair, efficient, and sustainable tax system continues. Exploring alternative avenues for government revenue is essential. Section 1. The Crossroads of Choice. Weighing the pros and cons of income tax. Income tax funds essential services like education and healthcare, but constrain individuals and families. The complexity and potential inefficiency of the tax system are significant concerns. Balancing these pros and cons is crucial for the nation's future. Section 2. A call to action. Your voice, your choice, the future of income tax. The future of income tax in the United States is not predetermined. It's a choice that we, as citizens, must make collectively. This is not a decision to be taken lightly or left solely in the hands of politicians and policymakers. It requires an informed and engaged citizenry, willing to weigh the complexities of the issue, consider diverse perspectives, and make their voices heard. Do you believe that the benefits of income tax in terms of funding essential services and promoting social welfare outweigh the burdens it places on taxpayers? Or do you believe that the current income tax system is unsustainable, overly burdensome, and in need of fundamental reform or even abolition? Do you support alternative forms of taxation such as consumption taxes or flat taxes as more viable options for funding government operations? These are not merely theoretical questions. They are real-world dilemmas with tangible consequences for our lives, our families, and our nation's future. It's time to move beyond passive acceptance and engage in a meaningful dialogue about the role of income tax in our society. Educate yourself on the issues, engage in respectful debate with those who hold differing views, and contact your elected officials to express your opinions. Your voice, your choice, can make a difference in shaping the future of income tax in the United States. Section 3. Shaping our collective destiny. The importance of informed civic engagement. The debate over income tax is not just about dollars and cents. It's about our values, our priorities, and our vision for the kind of society we want to create. It's about finding the right balance between individual liberty and collective responsibility, between economic prosperity and social equity. Informed civic engagement is not a spectator sport. It's an active and ongoing process that requires us to stay informed, critically evaluate information, and participate in the democratic process. It's about recognizing that we, the citizens, are the ultimate source of power in a democracy, and that our collective voice can shape the policies that govern our lives. The future of income tax in the United States is not a foregone conclusion. It's a choice that we will make together. Let us choose wisely, with a deep understanding of the history, the complexities, and the profound implications of this issue. Let us engage in respectful dialogue, listen to diverse perspectives, and work together to find solutions that are fair, just, and sustainable for all Americans. The future of our nation depends on it.